Zoning Board of Appeals. Come on up. How are you?
My name is Dr. Rajesh Kumar. Good evening. I work for a state government hospital as a senior research scientist as well as a lab manager. I'm currently a ZBA member. I think I'm a good choice for a ZBA full member. Our town ZBA board needs a knowledgeable person who has the knowledge of the current issues as well as someone who can ready for the issues the town is going to face in the near future. Also, the town needs an active member. The ZBA board needs an active member who can involve in the ZBA board and willing to work for the benefit of the town and the community. That someone is, I believe I am. And as an associate member, I was asked to be on the board several times, and I request the board to consider me for the full ZBA member. Thank you.
Thank you. Good.
Can you tell me what your job entails during the day that you feel that,
I'm a scientist.
You're a scientist, okay.
And also a lab member managing a bunch of lab
Okay.
researchers as well as a scientist.
And you said you have been an associate member for a few months, if I
For
recollect.
6 months.
Okay.
And after becoming an associate member, I was asked to sit in the board
Okay,
almost every meeting.
okay. Can I ask what is the one thing that stands out that you like about being part of the board?
The board is a challenging board. The board is changing a lot. The board needs as I said, knowledgeable person of the current issues. There are a lot of there is a lot of current issues which needs a knowledgeable person on the issues. So that's the one thing. And also, the board needs a person who can really spend time and energy for the board. So it's not like I want to be on the board and not to be participating in the board activities.
So you feel that you have the time to devote to the board to bring your knowledge?
I think I did.
Okay,
So far I did.
all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Come here, right here. Chris?
I have no questions.
I have no questions either. No. We have a motion?
I move that we appoint this gentleman
I'll second.
to the full membership.
All right. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Stepping forward, we appreciate your devotion to the town.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, next, Daniel Cronin, candidate for associate member of the Zoning Board of Appeals. If I remember right, last time we had an opening, correct?
Yes. And last time I went for the full membership, and but an associate membership would be just as welcome. I feel I could give back something to the town as far as I've run my own business as a carpet installer for over 50 years, which is in the construction industry. I know probably more about construction than half of the members that are on the board. I can read blueprints and maps and bring that knowledge to the board. I've been going over the bylaws ever since I have made my application for the full membership before, so.
Any questions?
No, I'm good.
Do you feel that you have the time to give to the board at this point? You did say that you have your own business, so I'm just...
Yeah, I'm semi-retired.
Okay, all right,
I have more time than I need.
all right, thank you.
And if I'm reading this correct, right now we have two openings for associate members, correct? Okay, thank you.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Yeah, motion.
So moved.
Second.
And Mr. Cronin be an associate member.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Thank you so much for serving. Appreciate it.
He'll have to go to the town clerk's office tomorrow,
Sign it.
As soon as
We'll shoot you an
possible.
email, we'll get you all squared away.
yeah, before the next meeting.
Thank you.
All right, old business. Discuss the amending sign bylaw at town, fall town meeting, and consider voting to send it to the planning board for a public hearing. Who'd like to start?
I'll be happy to start. I guess basically we're just talking about the electronic signs.
Right,
And now we have, I think it's what, you can't change it but every minute,
it's 1 minute.
1 minute in between. Well, we find out what the one electronic sign we have in town, which is ours, but it doesn't work at 1 minute. I mean, you can sit at the traffic light and unfortunately catch the same message every time you go by, because it never changes, unless you're lucky. I like to change it to that there's no time. It's determined by whoever has the sign, to set the time that they would like for the change. I'm not asking to do any wild and crazy flashes, and just do, all the other rules would apply, but just change the time to 0. Or leave it up to the individual to decide, including the town.
If I may, Mr. Chairman, a repeal of the time limit
Yes.
associated
Oh,
with the
yes.
bylaw.
That's a very good way to put it, yes.
I figured I'd throw that in.
Thanks a lot, I needed that, yeah.
And I would second that.
And actually, it does make sense, because if, you're gonna put it out there for a certain amount of time so you can read it. So no one's gonna put it out there for 1 second, 2
Second,
seconds,
yeah.
something like that, so. I think that does make sense. Christina?
We're talking about the sign in the center of town, but
Yes.
this is for all,
All-
any business
all-
that puts one of these
yes.
signs up is gonna be. the
All
same.
electronic signs.
Yep.
Because like I said, anybody that want to be able to drive by and read it, has to be able to read it. So no
No,
business.
I don't disagree with Mr. McCormick. If you're at the light, you're waiting at the light sometimes to just hope to see if you can see a second at the point now. So I think, so this is to move it to the planning board,
Yes.
They're gonna,
public hearing.
so we're gonna ask them to rescind the time limit altogether.
Right.
Yes, that's what I'd like.
Get
And I
a
second
motion and
it.
a second. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, do we need to vote on sending it to the planning board, or is that,
That was it.
no, we need?
Oh, okay.
I
I
think
move
you-
that we.
Your motion would cover both,
Oh,
Mr.
okay.
Chairman.
Okay,
An article in some form will be on the town meeting warrant and sponsored by you. That's the nature of this vote. And you've remanded it to the planning board. They're obliged to have a hearing on any proposed zoning bylaw changes.
Okay.
Covers all that. Thank you.
All right, update on Wayne's weaponry from building inspector and police chief. You want me to-
First, Mr. Chairman, we have in the packet, a draft. Note the watermarks. There was a little confusion, mostly on my part at the last meeting about the timing of
Right.
of an order. So this time, we have draft. There's a memorandum from the building inspector relative to his reporting to the property today to investigate complaints about some shooting there today, and some protocols that he and the police chief discussed on responding to any future complaints. Now, he copied that to our office. It's in your possession now. He copied it to council as well. And as I say, it's in draft form, so this is what he's put up for some protocols, together with a report on today's complaints.
It's okay, I just want to read the draft and so we can
By all means.
tell the people in town what's going on. Moving forward, all complaints will be directed to the West Boylston Police Department at 508-835-6030. West Boylston Police Department will track the complaints. The police chief will make a determination based on the complaints on how to further investigate the cause of the noise. If the West Boylston Police Department confirms a violation of the zoning order, further action by the Department of Inspectional Service will take place to enforce the order. Any other violations within the jurisdictions will be addressed by the West Boylston Police Department. Anybody have any questions on that? Just state your name.
My name is George Bellata. I think myself and others are confused based upon the meeting that was held here 2 weeks ago. There seems to be a lot of confusion in terms of what is to be enforced. I'm aware that you just came here in June, and I'm aware that Mr. Lund, took office, in November or something like that. However, it doesn't seem to be very clear in terms of what is being enforced. So I begin the story with 2 weeks ago. We were told that a cease and desist order had been issued. Then we found out through the banner that it hadn't been issued. It was issued on a week ago, Friday, this past Friday. And there is now questions about what is actually in that cease and desist order, because I understand through Mr. Lund's office that it really isn't a cease and desist order, that shooting can continue in a variety of ways. And according to the existing zoning in the residential area, it's about noise, and there is to be no noise in a residential area generated by a gun. It is, and the reason for that is that it is unusual noise in a residential area. Just like if I had a hobby of crushing gigantic boulders and making all kinds, or having a racing car, hobby, and having a race car track in my backyard, that would not be okay. So I think there's a lot of confusion, and therefore that leads to the upsetness, that leads to all kinds of things. And so the first question I have would be, what has been issued to Wayne's weaponry? Is he supposed to not shoot at all? Does he, that'd be the first question.
First, on the matter of our discussion of 2 weeks ago, I guess the building inspector and myself weren't entirely clear on the timing, and that's, in the end, okay, I get paid the big bucks to make sure that the things that get presented here are correct, so we try. I do recall saying, in the week prior, run that draft order by council, make sure, make sure you're right on every point. And we discussed it the following Monday. And I was under the distinct impression then, we'd been working it, we'd been talking, but I guess we weren't communicating as effectively as we should have been. I thought the order was issued. And he was waiting for council to get back with an opinion. Well, as it turned out, thankfully we got notices on, what was it, Friday the 31st. The shooting was supposed to have stopped on the 30th. I was as surprised and curious as anybody else on Friday morning when I heard about it. But we regrouped, got council on the horn, and I sent the building inspector up. He hand-delivered the order. He sent it by certified mail, and he sent it by snail mail. So in daylight hours, it was about 6 hours later than what the expectation was, 13 hours if you go by midnight. When we were talking about this memorandum of tonight, it's a result of a conversation I had with him. I said, how did we do this? What happened? We had several conversations, he and I and Nancy, and maybe we don't know each other so well, just yet, but what can we do to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again, okay? And one simple thing, besides speaking more frequently and more clearly to one another, is that when we put a document up that hasn't gone out, we've got a watermark on this that says draft. That might have helped, it surely would have helped us, in the last, in the conversation at the last meeting. So, I make no excuses, I just tell you the reason for, the reason for that confusion. That's the truth as I know it, and I apologize to, the board especially, because we're making representations to people, that something is fact, and it's supposed to be, when we say it is, but that's what happened, sir.
So in terms of what was sent to Wayne's weaponry, what is in there? What does it say in terms of what he can and cannot do? Because our understanding of the zoning is that no noise, it's a noise ordinance. No noise can be generated that's unusual in a neighborhood. And certainly shooting of weapons, guns, is an unusual noise. So I'm not even talking about guns. I'm just talking about noise generated by guns. So is it clear to Wayne's weaponry, because this morning it doesn't seem like it's clear, that he cannot shoot or invite people to shoot, or his family members can shoot guns?
If I may, Mr.
Before we go to the next step, so the letter on this, that went out, we thought went out on the 16th, said he had 2 weeks to comply.
That's correct.
This new letter that was hand-delivered on,
31st.
issued on 7/31, did not say 2 weeks, it says it was immediate?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. And I guess you can answer, I don't see anything that talks about noise. I think it talks, well, the first letter talks about an outdoor commercial recreation use in a single residential district. Is that case in the second letter? Is it the same thing? I'm looking at the first one, residential district.
I'll get the letters. I left it on my desk. I'll go get it. My understanding is that the Angelini letter pointed out some title questions, and that the idea of a commercial outdoor recreational use being grandfathered in on a particular property was not valid because the shooting was taking place, I guess, on in a budding property owned in common or something to that effect. So it kind of voided the grandfathering is my understanding of it. What the building inspector did start to follow up on was what about family, a still open question was what about family members, shooting on their own property, without clubs or, any visitors or anything to the property. And what of the town-owned adjoining property? If any shooting were ever going to go on there, or any police training were ever going to take place there, what do we do about those two things? So those things are still two open questions, to us. But
Has council been involved in answering those questions? Because it's really clear in the zoning law and the precedence of zoning law in terms of Massachusetts law that noise generated by guns are unusual noises in a residential area, and the same, and I don't have the exact jargon because I'm not an attorney, that the same rules and regulations that guide a commercial gun range are the same ones that are invoked for a private gun range. So you cannot have either. You cannot have either in a residentially zoned area according to the bylaws of West Boylston. And those are very similar laws, as you know, to many towns. So it's clear to us, and it's clear to our attorney, that, that you can't fire guns. You cannot fire a gun, Now, you want to put a muzzle on it or whatever, something like that, because it's really a noise ordinance, So, that's what I mean by confusion. This fellow, Wayne Weaponry, since 1993, this has been going on. I have a packet of, from the internet, of two businesses that have been using Wayne's Weaponry over the years, and other groups gathering to use Wayne's Weaponry, and this goes back to, I think the earliest one that was found is 2009. Now, whether shut it off. Whether there's been a fee involved or not, payment, rental, is really irrelevant. Is that Wayne's Weaponry has not been, because it's the activity that makes it commercial. Whether what did I want to say now? I lost my train of thought. Wayne has not been forthcoming, for example, in his conversations with Mr. Lund, because Wayne had told Mr. Lund that it was only his friends. Now we have all this documentation, from all kinds of people that have been using this, as well as for courses. That there's a little distrust, it's kind of like, what is going on here? Who's telling who what, etc. That's kind of like, and I just want to say, because you just came in in June, after the meeting with the previous town administrator in February, and they went on this wild goose chase in terms of federal law that has no application whatsoever. This group did the homework and went and pulled the waiver, and it clearly states all of this in the waiver to Wayne's Weaponry. This material was given to Leon, the former town administrator, and to Mr. Lund the end of March, the beginning of April. I have an email for several people, I'm a part of this conversation, from Leon that talks about this, and it was just simply dismissed. So then it takes, and there was conversations with Mr. Lund trying to point out these things in terms of the residential code, and it appears that our building inspector, our zone enforcement officer, doesn't understand the zoning law. That's what it appears. And so it leaves us, I can only talk about uneasy. And I know, and I appreciate what you did on Friday. I mean, said, God, within an hour, this was done. So I appreciate that. But that's why I'm asking specific questions. What does it say in the paper that was given to Mr. Wayne?
If we just said, good, Kevin, go.
Number one, can you go get the?
That's a public, yeah, that's a public
And can you make
document.
us, or maybe take Nancy, make us some copies?
Yep.
Number two, can we get one set of bylaws even, that we can look at between us?
What are we looking for, Mr.?
The zoning bylaws?
Zoning
Zoning
bylaws?
bylaws, yeah.
I have that in front of me here. I don't know if you're looking for something.
Yeah,
let me
like
get
the one that this gentleman is
Well,
referring to.
the area is quoted in the letter from our attorney,
I don't
in
have
terms
that
of the
letter.
chapters and all that kind of, so it's just,
I don't have that
you
And I
know.
understand the frustrating, but again, it was brought forth in front of us for the first time.
Yes.
So we are doing our best and working it to the best of our ability.
Can I ask a question? Has the noise continued? or?
It went from last meeting.
Okay.
It continued until Friday morning, about 12:15 this
On the
past.
31st?
On the 31st.
Okay.
It continued.
Okay, and since the 31st, has anybody,
This, today.
oh, okay.
Today.
Okay. All right, no, what I'm asking is, has it continued?
Yes, today.
All right, I've been out of town, I'm just asking.
Every day is continued?
No, there was nothing on Saturday, nothing on Sunday, Monday or Tuesday, as far as I know.
That's noise. Sorry, that's noise, I couldn't hear you.
There was nothing on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday. Why it happened today, who knows?
So there's been a few days that it's been quiet,
Correct.
and then today you said you heard it?
Number of people reported it.
Okay.
I heard it, I
Okay.
was away.
Like I said, I just got back
Yeah.
at like 5:30 this afternoon, so that's why I'm asking.
I can speak to that, by the way. My name is Patrick McCreel. I live in the Rivington area, and my wife was one of the people that called.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Chairman, Mr. Chairman, I think we're at a disadvantage not having Mr. Lund here.
I agree.
I don't know if he was invited, but we're at a disadvantage, just as crazy, because, 1 second, sir, please. This letter clearly says, however, the order does not preclude the owner or owner's family from lawfully discharging firearms. So we can't answer to anything until Mr. Lund, I thought he was gonna be here tonight. But I don't,
That's
this is a letter from him
That's helpful.
that I'm reading here, so I think we're at a disadvantage to answer questions that I really don't, that we hire somebody in town to, should be able to answer for us.
Well, that was clarifying. Under that, I assume Wayne and his family understand that they can shoot all the guns that they want.
Like people on their property can do. In not only that property, but I mean, and then now, but also we're talking about a noise violation, but the letter's saying,
Noise ordinance.
yeah, I think we're,
I don't have a noise ordinance.
right, I don't see anything here, Mr. Chair, Mr. McCall.
But I remember,
Yeah.
I remember
so-
it getting voted down at a town meeting, the noise ordinance, absolutely, years ago, but I never heard of one passing, a noise ordinance.
But the original letter doesn't talk about, it talks about some
Yes, you
use
remember?
of the property of a business. So I think we need the,
Then it's-
Nance?
We did have a zoning bylaw voted down at town meeting, correct?
About noise,
About noise.
yes, years ago.
But are there not other places, isn't there not other language that, in the bylaws that guarantee for all the citizens of West Boylston the right to good water, clean air?
No, I don't have a bylaws, that's why I just asked to get a set of bylaws, I don't have them in front of me.
do you folks know of someplace in our
I know what they are in the
What
bylaws.
number? What is it?
Look under chapter 3, home occupation of a business in a residential district. That's where his special permit came from. His property was not changed to a commercial use, it's still a residential use. He still has the right to shoot on his own property as long as he's 150 feet from a road and 500 feet from an occupied building.
Right. Which he can easily do in his backyard.
So if you read the section on home occupation, there's a very vague issue about noise, and it's very vague.
I'm sorry, can we get your name, please?
Lou Pepe, I'm from Fairbank Street.
Thank you.
Mr. Paper, can you say that again, 100 feet from?
150.
150 feet from a paved road, 500 feet from an occupied building, unless you have permission from the owner of that building to shoot at a closer distance.
Thank you, sir.
That's not in that 3.5.
That is in state law.
Right, so I'm just clarifying, that's not in the, so again,
If we're gonna ban fire, if we're gonna ban shooting in all residential districts, there's a lot of woodland that's residential in this town, and people hunt. So is that what you're saying? You're gonna ban all shooting all over the town?
Once,
That's got nothing to do, let's just keep to the subject, please.
Then I stand corrected in terms of, that my understanding was that he could not shoot, and only the owner of the property can shoot on his or her land.
Can we just, hold on one second.
discussion, Mr. Purcell.
Yes, sir.
Was Mr. Lund asked to be here tonight or no? When you were out, I said we're at a disadvantage without him here. I don't think we should be, I personally don't want to answer questions that the zoning, I don't want to say the wrong thing because he's the zoning enforcement officer. So he wasn't asked to be here tonight?
Not by me, Mr.
That's
Chairman. Okay.
It was on the agenda that he would be here and the chief of police would be here.
Well, let's just say we're gonna get a report from them.
The report.
It will be.
I get back to town at 3:15.
Okay. Yes, sir?
Dr. Stephen Davis, I read the banner update online, and the paragraph that really drew my attention was something to the effect, Mr. Lund further investigated, and then a sentence or two of very, very nice legal zoning type jargon, which, and then he changed his mind. I would tell you guys that that jargon was nearly exactly the jargon contained in the letter from our lawyer to him. And so he's not here to dismiss this or to dispute what I'm saying, but I would say that he changed his mind and investigated it only when the letter came from our lawyer. And we've been telling him the same thing since February. And I think that if someone is asked to be here by the Board of Selectmen or the town administrator and doesn't come,
That's not fair.
We're told he wasn't asked to be.
He was not asked to be here.
I mean, I agree, he should be here,
it
but
was
I
on
don't
the
think.
agenda.
No, I'll read the agenda item. It says, update on Wayne's weaponry from building inspector and chief of police. It doesn't say that they'll be here. Update could be
Update
letters.
by?
Yeah, we
A
get,
letter.
by
Their
letters.
update.
The memorandum was the update.
Well, I think this letter, this memorandum.
Mr. Chairman, a characterization, please. In other public operations, police departments, for instance, or people looking for volunteers, how many times have you heard someone go on TV asking for the public's help on something? I'm quite certain that a direct appeal wasn't made to you, Doctor, for help on the thing, but help you gave, the interested parties here, you gave. And however long it took, we accepted that help, and it resulted in order. I'd just like you to keep that in mind, that this thing is still very much a process. We're still in pursuit of some answers ourselves, okay? And that's the truth of the matter. As long as I'm here, we're not going to stonewall you. We may give you answers, that you don't want to hear, or we may not have caught up to some of the details of things, okay? I'd just like you to understand that about us. I understand your frustration. It's been going on for a long time. We don't deal with these things every day either. This is a little unusual for us. So at least in our discourse, okay, if we could be a little more civil in our emails and in our public discourse, we're here discussing a very important public safety issue, quality of life issue, et cetera. I'd like this to be a dialogue instead of a confrontation. If we've given you legitimate cause for feeling that way, I apologize on behalf of the town. But from here forward, could we just dial it back a little bit? Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
In our next selectmen's meeting, we will ask Mr. Lund to come forward. And the police chief. And he will be able to answer. And we'll have the lawyers here too. Can we have the Copeland page here?
That way we get everybody in the same room, all on the same.
And that way, everybody's questions will be able to be answered.
Well, I would just suggest in regards to the lawyers, maybe if the building inspector feels that necessary, or if the police chief feels it's necessary, then maybe we can have counsel here, but that stuff could be answered by counsel before meeting. I think, I have no problem. But I think, I don't think we should really do much more discussion without the building inspector here.
Great, because he's
At a minimum, because.
He's the enforcement officer, so what do you do?
So, Mr. Hadley, before I walked in, I was handed a notice the decision was that all complaints will now be routed through the police.
Yes.
That's under consideration.
Okay.
That's,
Because,
it's his draft.
Submit.
It sounded stricter than that.
because let me say.
No,
with
I
all due
said it
respect,
twice.
And trying to be civil, but sometimes the truth hurts and hearing the raw truth hurts. But this is with whom we've been dealing for 6 months. People who really weren't aware of the basic town rules and laws, let alone the state laws. And that's what you're putting it back to. My wife and my daughter called 2 or 3 Fridays ago and were just totally dismissed. Told, well, what do you expect from a range?
Well,
And that's where we are again.
in all fairness, as you said, this is a draft, and this was forward from Mr. Lund to, that's how he expects to handle it, but we will, in all fairness to everybody, we'll get Mr. Lund, the chief of police, and counsel in here, and get to the bottom of this by the next meeting.
So where do we stand right now, please?
What do we do?
The question, it's still an open-ended question for us, I'm afraid, on the private, on the family using their premises. It still is for us, I know.
Can I just say to that, please?
I have the
don't
floor, Mr.
dispute-
Chairman.
I don't dispute what
Excuse me,
this
sir,
man said.
he's still speaking, please.
So, that is, that admittedly is still an open question, one that I told you I just returned from out of state this afternoon, mid-afternoon, that we'll follow up with council first, and Mr. Lund first thing tomorrow morning. We're still, we still need clarity on that, the difference, the commercial outdoor recreational activities that are prohibited under the order, you've provided even more underpinning for with your website invitations to the site. That underscores that it, whether there was a fee or not, it's still, it met that land use classification. So in terms of land use, that aspect of the zoning bylaw, we seem to be in agreement, that commercial outdoor recreational uses are prohibited. Noise, you make a very strong point about that. And then the ownership question is, the private folks, it's still an open question, I'm afraid.
So the question I have, because I communicate to the membership.
Yeah.
We have been told to email, call your office. Should we continue to do that for the next 2 weeks, or do we call the police?
For the time being, follow the protocol, email me.
Okay, so you would know that
Yep.
noise is happening and someone officially knows.
Right. And to the 3 or 4 people who emailed me today, I didn't see them until I got off a plane, so I apologize for not giving you a prompt response.
Just as a matter of rules, as the manager had the floor, do I have the floor?
Your name, please?
Timothy O'Brien. As evidence of Wayne's being a business, I'd like to submit their website on Facebook, which has a pair of dollar signs after their hours of operations, okay? It says that it's currently closed, okay? And that is respect to the range, because they say that the shop is open. The last time we were here, we were promised the building inspector and the police chief. And I just came in a few minutes ago, but I'm wondering why that is, that they're not here.
We asked for a report from them. He gave us a report.
And do we get a copy of that?
I did give one I put a couple in front of Mr. Bellata.
And then at the next meeting, we will have Mr. Long and the chief of police here.
It's my recollection that they were, we were given the assurance that they'd be here tonight.
No, that was
Okay,
not.
well, I'd like to compliment Wayne. It's been a very quiet week. I can't stress to you enough about two things. The bombs. They are legitimately exploding targets. It's a bomb. I've called ATF. I've called the state police. I've called local. There's got to be a log. They're on a first-name basis with me at 911. There's got to be a log of my callings and my telephone calls, and there has to be some review of that by somebody to notice where a problem is percolating from. If somebody looks at the call list in the aggregate and doesn't notice there's a problem with Wayne's, then they're not terribly observant. The other thing is, the manager, in asking us to ratchet it back some, it serves as a chilling of discourse, because there's nothing wrong with passion. When I spoke last week, or 2 weeks ago, I prefaced my comments and concluded my comments with saying that you guys weren't even on the board 22 years ago when this started. Okay? Despite that, I felt admonished by you. This is on TV, and the way that you handle things and handle citizens, okay, reflects poorly upon the city, the town, when I'm trying to get across my points, not in habit of doing this, and I'm told to ratchet it back. We're victims. Are there any other crimes which the victim should ratchet it back? Could we have a list through the chair? Because it is not right to ask that. Okay, there's nothing wrong with passion. Okay, there's nothing wrong with being wrong for the last 10 years and thinking that your apology tonight is sufficient to let that all go. You weren't here, okay? I understand that. But the ratcheted back stuff, what would you like us not to say through the chair?
Sir, this is really gonna have, we just want,
I just want to answer my question.
would you like to answer the question?
You don't have to change much of anything but tone.
My tone, or our tone. Okay.
Occasionally, it's,
Tim, we're all trying to work together here to get this resolved, and we were made aware of this recently, and we're doing the best we can. Now, like I said.
But last time though, we were told that they would be invited to be here. I'm going to try to review it to be sure, but I'm pretty sure. And I know, and I know you guys weren't here. I know it is.
We have the minutes of it. Go ahead.
We hear the video.
Well, I requested that it be in the next week, we put this on the agenda, and it says we will ask the police chief and the building inspector for a status. That's what I'm reading from the minutes.
And that's what they gave us.
But whatever happened, we agree they should be here. We don't disagree with you on this. We can talk all night about it, but we agree the building inspector should be here because we can't answer these questions. That's what we pay a zoning enforcement officer to do.
And why isn't he here?
Sir, he wasn't asked to. I just read the agenda.
He wasn't asked to be here.
Correct.
That's what the town administrator said. That's what everybody said. He wasn't asked to be here tonight. I don't think he was asked and said, oh, I'm not coming.
You don't think that, or is that the case?
No, he said it. He just said that that's what you're trying to get at. We asked him. He wasn't asked.
He wasn't asked.
He was not asked.
Okay.
He will be here at the next meeting.
Well, he will be
I'd
asked
like
to
to
be here.
just conclude with complimenting Wayne's. It's been very quiet. I haven't heard one bullet fired or a sound out of there.
I guess there was something today, but.
Oh, there was?
You missed it.
Okay. I missed it, Don.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I appreciate your work on this.
thank you.
Mr. Hadley, this was a special permit that was issued by the ZBA back in 1993, correct?
I don't know the answer.
I don't know. I don't know the
Mr.
answer.
McConnell, would you know? I know you weren't on the board, but you've been
My
around.
understanding from our discussion is that he was given a permit
So I'm just
to
curious.
have his, well, you gotta know the answer.
Oh, I'm sorry.
He was given a permit to have his gun store,
Okay.
not for a range that I'm aware of, but to sell his weapons there, as
Sell
far as I
there.
know. I wasn't here in '93.
Thank you.
And that's,
Because I was going to say, what maybe a suggestion
Yeah,
is that pull what the decision was that the ZBA made, and see exactly what they said he could do or couldn't do.
It's right here, and we will give it to Mr. Purcell so he can read it and
Can I see that?
go
well,
forward.
it says here, a record search of the Worcester Registry of Deeds revealed no variance recorded for a firearm range present on the property. That's from the building inspector. So, I don't know.
This is not something, through you,
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, sorry, that's going to be answered obviously overnight. We're trying to do our due diligence and get caught up from when this was happening. And it's not the answer that everybody wants to hear, that we don't have a concrete answer. But we have been talking to our attorneys, we've been talking to the building inspector, and in some ways, it seems like we've made progress, because I just heard one of your gentlemen say it's been quiet except for today, I believe. So we're going down the road and trying to improve, but we want to make sure we continue to get all the information, and we appreciate the information that you have brought forward to us. We will consult with our attorneys, and going forward with the building inspector, as the chairman said, and the chief of police.
Patrick McCreel again. Can we get a proposed timeline for when you can meet some of these milestones? And I ask that question not to be arrogant, but this is what I have to live with in my business.
We will have the chief of police, we will ask the chief of police and the building inspector to be here at the next meeting, which is the 22nd.
We'll make sure they're here.
Nancy?
We're not going to ask them.
Now, what is the direct,
Closing that
so,
for vacation.
Well,
Well,
if
yeah.
they're not on vacation, right,
We want to see if they're on vacation and things like that. I mean, we're not gonna,
right.
if they're in Florida or,
wouldn't be fair to
Yep.
myself. So the current directive still stands that any noise complaints will go through Mr. Purcell's office?
Yes.
And they will be, however you want to call it, investigated appropriately. But for the current time being, there should be no shooting coming from Wayne's weaponry, correct?
But it says here, owner's family.
Except for,
On the,
Well,
yeah,
how do we know who family and
yeah, and
that
that's,
is? You know?
that's what I was trying to say, I apologize.
That's why we need the answer, that's why we need the answer from the lawyer, and
Tomorrow I'll call,
we will have the answer to that.
tomorrow I will call counsel on that matter.
Okay.
but I would just add, if this is an issue at midnight, I mean, sending an email to the town administrator, if you're finding, like you folks are saying, bombs and guns and everything at midnight, I would suggest they still call the police.
All right.
I don't know if the town administrator
It hasn't been
disagrees.
that
After
bad.
hours?
Again, in all fairness to Wayne, it has not been, arguably that disruptive.
Okay.
But certainly it has occurred, during the day, normal hours, 10:30, I believe it was today.
Okay.
10:30, 11:30, so.
Thank you.
Sean Hackett, just a
Thank you.
quick question. I know he has 30 days to put in an appeal. If he does not, what happens after 30 days with regard to the range and activity?
Again, we'll get that answer from our lawyer.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Jen Norden. I'm from over on Malden Street. I'm also a physician in the neighborhood. And I guess I have a little bit of concern about us calling the police regarding this. One is that I have talked to a business owner who wanted to be here tonight, but she couldn't, stating that her and a friend were walking on the rail trail when they were nearly hit with shrapnel from Wayne's weaponry, or they assumed it to be from Wayne's weaponry. And that they called the police immediately to notify them that they were almost injured and other people were almost injured. And the police said, oh yeah, we know, what do you want us to do about it? And she was absolutely flabbergasted that someone could be on public land that's, funded and supported by state and local sources, and that it was completely blown off. And her question to me, which she wanted me to broach to everyone else tonight, is there a log of these complaints, and have you reviewed them?
Again, we'll have the chief of police here, and he'll answer all those questions for you.
And then the only other comment I want to make is, I think that the reason why tone and is an issue while people are so upset is because there's this perception that because he worked for the town for so many years that he's getting a pass, and that perhaps this keeps being pushed down the road and pushed down the road, and that people who are equal in rights in this town and equal in voice in this town are not being treated equally. I think that we all want to see this town flourish. We want people to want to move to this town. We want people to start businesses in this town. And that's not going to happen if this town gets a reputation for cronyism and favoritism, and cronyism and favoritism to people who might be perceived as bullies, especially not if the police are on the side of protecting that also.
Thank you. I
know
wouldn't know him if I saw him, to be honest with you.
I didn't know he worked for the town.
That's not an accusation. That's not an accusation. That's a perception.
Okay.
Did he work for the town? I didn't know that. Seriously.
That's.
Did he?
Yes.
Kevin, you would know.
Yeah, he worked for the light department for years and years.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
Years. Retired and went off to shoot guns, I guess. I know Wayne my entire life, okay? Because I've lived in West Boylston my whole life, and so hasn't he. So, and trust me, I voted to stop this if it's illegal for him to do it, if it's not. So this cronyism thing is a bunch of baloney, okay? These guys don't even know who he is. I grew up with him, was on the fire department with him for 28 years. So I have no cronyism, and if he walked in here today and I felt that he shouldn't have it, I'd vote no. If I felt he should have it, I'd vote yes, just like I would for you or anybody else. So there is no cronyism with me. These guys don't even know him. So I don't think they're playing any games.
Again,
Okay.
that's not an accusation. That's a perception that's fueling tone.
Thank you.
I think perception is often reality in this business, I know.
Yes.
It becomes,
And with
to even
social-
reasonable people, yeah, it does.
And with
It
social
does.
media, et cetera, this stuff just gets amplified.
Ma'am, and if the phone call that you talked about is the case, and we could find that out because all the calls are recorded, that's unacceptable.
Yeah.
So at least to, I'm sure everybody on this side of the room,
Right.
if that answer was given, that's unacceptable. A
And
dispatcher,
that reassurance is very helpful for everyone for this discussion.
Do you have a date when that happened?
She can give me a date.
tell us when the call was, I'm sure that can narrow it down for
Absolutely.
us.
Yes, sir.
The last time there was the bomb explosion, I called 911 and it was busy. I assume others called me. And I went up to Wayne's and I introduced myself to him at the gun shop. And he was kind enough to give me a tour of the facility and apologized for the bomb going off, saying that the gentleman that had done it had gained access to the range without his knowledge. And there was another group of kids leaving, 20-somethings leaving, as we were going down to see the range, because had never seen it before. And they said that had been somebody else. But the fact that people can gain access to the range without him having knowledge and doing that is an additional concern.
I agree. Thank you very much. Really appreciate everybody coming in. Thank you, everybody. All right, ready to move on?
Yeah.
Yes, do you have the chief's email about the response to the items from
Yes, it should be here.
Yeah, we got it.
Should be right here.
It's on the back page. Yeah,
Okay,
It was
you got it? There was a separate, right there, there's all the.
okay, right there, yeah, thank you. All right, update on police chief on the use of Jake Breaks and installation of signs for the Checkerboard Business Center. Would you like me to, you want to read this?
That's how it used to go. Leon used to read these? Okay. Mr. Chairman, this is a correspondence from the chief of police dated Monday, August 3rd, regarding the signage requests. You asked him to look into some of the requests that the planning board, or concerns that the planning board had raised to you a couple of weeks ago. He writes, "I'm writing to offer my opinion on the request made by various people during the latest planning board meeting. I would support the posting of several no parking signs on Shrine Avenue in the area where the new business will be located. I don't believe that it will be necessary to post Helen Drive, nor the entire street. In the future, if a problem arises, we can deal with it accordingly. Excessive signs detract from the appearance of the neighborhood. The posting of local traffic, no commercial traffic on Shrine Avenue does not seem appropriate to me. I have asked the driving schools in the area to vary their routes so as not to have a significant impact on the same neighborhoods, and they have always obliged." So that's on that matter. On the issue of posting no Jake breaks, I believe that the Code of Mass Regulations would not permit the posting of these signs on Route 110 as it is a state highway. The enforcement of these types of regulations is very hard to accomplish. I would prefer to assign officers to monitor the speed in these areas and slow the traffic down. I've recently purchased additional solar, long-lasting, heavy-duty battery-powered speed control signs and will begin placing them in the specific areas that were noted in the board's meeting minutes. I would appreciate it if you could pass this information on to the board members. If there are any questions, please feel free to contact me. Respectfully, Chief Minich.
Okay, so I think he agrees with some of the things that the planning board asked for and some of the things he didn't ask for. They don't want to do so.
I do. Can I? So there are no jailbreak rules in other towns. If there are, they did put a signs also. And also if they don't follow the rules, there are $200 fine. So that's what the thing, we did brought in the last meeting.
It says it's a state highway. It's not our road.
No, I'm talking about the Maple Street.
I believe he said he'd rather try to enforce
State
it.
highways, that's I agree, but on this side roads,
I believe he said he'd try to enforce, rather try to enforce the speeding, which if they weren't speeding, they wouldn't need a Jake brake.
yeah, but the jailbreak things happens at the night time.
Well,
That's
it says
what the
it's
complaint
on
is.
Maple Street where they wanted that.
Right.
sign,
Maple
right?
Street.
So why does he talk
Maple
about
Street,
110?
Hellman, and
Because they
the.
asked
must
for
have
on
come up at the
110
meeting.
also.
Huh?
Okay, that came up the meeting also on
Oh,
110.
that came up also?
Yeah.
So he didn't, I guess he didn't answer the Maple Street.
Maple Street,
Well, he said he'd rather,
the
I'd
hard
rather
Street.
enforce,
Super-
yeah.
he'd rather enforce.
I have no problem with doing that. And then, now, do we need to do any, on this, no parking signs, do we need to do anything tonight, or we just tell the planning board to put it in the agreement? It came to us. Do we-
I guess it requires, the posting of signs requires an order from you, does it? Is that your protocol here, Mr. Chief?
Chief, I don't think we've ever.
Well, if we
Never
do, I'd
post.
make a motion that the signs be posted per the chief's recommendation. Where he thinks they should go is
No
where they go.
parking signs.
I'm not gonna go up and decide where a sign goes. I don't know.
So we have a motion.
I'll second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
And I agree completely with the driving school. I mean,
Yeah.
they're in my neighborhood,
Right.
they're probably in everybody else's, so I think they do go all over. I see them on our street all the time, turning kids around, so we can't put a sign to stop that.
And then,
And as far as the Jake brake on Maple Street, let's, when he comes in here for the other, next 2 weeks, we'll ask him the same question. Is that good? Everybody?
We
yeah,
could just ask before so he could,
Yeah. So you
Yes,
can answer.
yes.
Specifically Maple Street and,
Hartwell, Maple
What is it,
Street,
uh, what's it, is it Hartwell?
The Maple, Salisbury Street goes here, Hartwell, right, that area.
So Shrewsbury, where the V is?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right.
can I just ask a question? How many trucks come down Maple Street to the V at Shrewsbury Street? I mean, it's a residential neighborhood, it's coming from Worcester, that's got you gotta come down that big hill, you come by Bushel and Peck to get to there.
I could answer that question maybe next meeting.
I mean, I
It
can't
is,
believe
it
I
is-
could understand at the end down here, maybe, because they're coming down a big hill, but up there, it even flattens out and it's level where they stop.
I would say at
It's the
least
same, is it from one, can I just ask, was it one person that complained?
10 different persons,
How many?
10 different persons.
10 different people?
10 different people.
Not even 10, well, there's a lot of houses there, but
I can-
they're way
I can-
far away, geez.
I can, yes, I can.
This is worse than Wayne's weaponry. There more people hear this than,
You know, they don't have to put a jake brake, you know, they can put a ordinary brake, right?
no, I understand,
So,
but
also the new drivers,
I just can't believe that there's that much noise from Jake brakes up there. I can understand, like I said, down at this end, because they're coming all the way downhill.
so
Up there, you're coming, where do even all the trucks come from at midnight? Jeez, I can't even imagine.
if they wake up once, you know,
You
that's
must
all,
have
they cannot go
a
back
big
to sleep.
commercial flow through West Boylston at midnight, I don't know. Okay.
All right, so we'll ask them to come. Update on Malden Street. I think Mr. Purcell's gonna give a couple of pointers on that. I just wanted to say that Nancy brought, is it Ken Hodges?
Ken Hodges.
Into, okay, into the conservation meeting Monday, and they agreed there was no, notice of intent was not required to do any repaving, and so it's not gonna take any time limit off them to do their, what they have to do. And if they did need something, we would absolutely have a special meeting for them to get it going as soon as possible. So the conversation was very receptive to moving this forward as fast as possible.
Mr. Chairman, the LEI has sent an engineering contract proposal. You may have it in your packages tonight, I think. Did you? Oh, it's in the channels, okay. I just opened it this afternoon upon my return, Mr. Chairman, but in the interest of time, I'd ask that the board give me the authority to award and execute a contract, an engineering contract for Malden Street with LEI. I haven't reviewed all of the terms and would like to do so, but if this is time sensitive to the board, you may not want to wait until, another 2 weeks for us to get underway on this. So if you trust me to give a thorough review of the contract and do the go-ahead, give me the go-ahead, I will. The contract price, which I haven't agreed to anything just yet, is $60,000 for the job. That's about 10% of what the construction estimate is, doing it from end to end, together with a piece of at Crescent Street. But so I would, respectfully request your, the authority to do that, Mr. Chairman.
I move that we authorize the town administrator to sign this contract. It says 13 to 15 weeks, we're barely gonna,
Right,
they're gonna be paving it,
Right.
the date of.
Day of Christmas.
Yeah,
So,
second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Can I ask a question? Is that Laura Burns, Malden Street. There was some question last week about the end-to-end issue, and I think you just said that that's what's going to happen. This contract, when you execute, will be for repaving from one end to the other of Malden?
Yes.
That's the best, in Voltaire's world, it would be the best of all possible worlds.
Okay, but it's not clear yet.
It's not clear. The sequencing of the construction activities is yet to be determined. We're doing another field visit out there with the interim highway superintendent and LEI next week. The area that gets the most traffic is in the worst shape, and that's Malden from Goddard to Crescent. I'm sorry. Goodale. Goodale. I knew that too.
how could you say that?
From Goodale to Crescent, and then from Crescent to, what is it, Pine, Alden? Pine Drive. Those things are in, very, very bad shape. And the construction costs, for that, on a linear foot basis are substantially higher than, the 2-inch overlay that we might be looking at, for the balance of Malden Street from that fork, up to the dead end. What's affordable, together with other town-wide needs, versus the state's so-called Chapter 90 funds that we have, remains to be seen. But we know where the worst part is. If I were, I have just enough knowledge to be dangerous in these matters. But if I were king of the world, I'd say do the crescent Malden, those pieces of the triangle as soon as humanly possible, and maybe do a thin overlay on the worst areas of the balance and get back to that next year. This is a very aggressive timeline, engineering and bidding wise to begin with, much less construction. So we'll see. In the best of all possible worlds, we can knock the whole thing off, but it's possible. I won't say how likely that we'd have to segment.
He doesn't need it.
Thank you.
You don't need it yet.
Thank you. All right, concurrence on the appointment of Laura Espy to the Cultural Council effective August 6, 2015, for a term to expire on April 30th, 2018.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Consider approving the hiring of Christopher Bergstrom as fractional time dispatch effective August 28, 2015, at step 2 of grade 4, $16.78.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Consider accepting the following bandstand donation on behalf of the town. Free will donations from July 19th concert, $138. Sponsored donation, Leicester Refrigeration, $250. Free will donation from July 26th concert, $126.73.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Considering executing contract with affordable housing consultant.
Mr. Chairman, as you know, Dick Heaton is no longer providing those services for the town. He withdrew his services, and my understanding is that he did a pretty good job in the time that he was here. He was one of the respondents to the town's request for proposals. We had to push the reset button on the original 2013 contract, that had a cap on it, and as time went on, the cap was sometimes exceeded. The previous town administrator correctly put out, issued a request for proposals for that, and I'm sure other reasons. And Mr. Heaton responded, and Community Opportunities Group, Inc., Peter Sanborn, president, were one of the respondents. Mr. Chairman, you're a member of the Affordable Housing Trust, and were present when we interviewed both companies. And with Mr. Heaton's withdrawal, and from what we heard from Community Opportunities Group, they're not only the last ones standing, but they have certain skill sets and competencies of their own that I think will serve the town well. They did send last week or the week before, I asked them to send a contract template to us. I forwarded that to council. We bounced it back, and on last Friday, I sent it to Community Opportunities. At 6:17 p.m. tonight, they said they're in agreement with council's version, except for two minor changes. Now, the nature of the business, it's very much like our on-call engineering services. It might be anything housing related, and there's a cap of $20,000 per year, and for a range of services. Specific activities would be requested by the Affordable Housing Trust themselves. What do you want, the party to work on? And I know your group has certain priorities that you're ready to tell the new person about. So, we're right down to it. I understand the Affordable Housing Trust has a meeting, I think, next week, and are expecting to see this contract done. So, again, for the second time tonight, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking for your authority to make the contract award to Community Opportunities Group, Inc., for affordable housing consulting services to the town for a sum not to exceed $20,000 per year.
I mean, should we put it back out to bid? Maybe people didn't bid because they thought Mr. Heaton's been in town so long, for a couple of years now, maybe they didn't put a bid in. Now that, they're the only one standing, we've been in this situation before that I know you're saying they're qualified, but maybe we put it out to bid again, and maybe you'll find that, people, I'm sure the talk around that community, I'm sure there's not a lot of people that do it.
Yeah.
Since we only got two.
I get your, if I may, Mr. Chairman, I get your concern, Mr. Ruccio. I wouldn't call them a default candidate. Maybe I gave you reason to believe that. But there was actually a time when we were thinking of splitting the business between Mr. Heaton and COG, because COG has, they've developed a program of monitoring compliance with state hubs, not only doing subsidized housing inventories, but doing follow-up monitoring of developments to make sure that they are in compliance. And I know there's a concern, about a project or two out there where occupancy has already taken place, and so we were pretty interested in that aspect, and we're thinking of carving that out. Having Mr. Heaton do kind of the troubleshooting that he's known for in COG, to do, some of the, really important compliance issues. We found that to be very intriguing. As it turns out, prior to this contract award, I don't think I'll eat my words. I hope not to, but I think he got a good. I think he got a good group, but I think Mr. Hadley's opinion has higher value than mine. He's on the Affordable Housing Trust. I'm just your agent.
I interviewed both of those, as other members did also, and Sanborn, and he did a great job. We were going to have them do one part of the job and have Heaton do the other, some specialty stuff. But I know Sanborn can handle doing both parts of the job, and I feel comfortable having them do it.
So the committee was going to recommend Mr. Heaton.
Committee was going to recommend both. We were going to use Sanborn to do one part of the job and Heaton to do another part.
Oh, that wasn't just talked. That was going to be the recommendation.
Yeah, here's what happened. After the initial interviews, I consulted with the trust membership, and I invited Mr. Sanborn in to talk with myself and Bob Barrell. Bob Barrell, when he was the Hudson Housing Authority Director, performed the very services that we were interested in with Sanborn for other towns on a consultant basis, somewhere in the Hudson area. And so I placed a lot of value on Bob's opinion on whether or not this was a good thing. I had that meeting scheduled, I think, on a Friday or something, and I had an appointment to talk to Heaton on the following Tuesday. The outcome of my meeting with Bob and COG was going to determine, the scope that I would negotiate with Heaton the following Tuesday. But Mr. Heaton withdrew, between my meeting with Bob and COG and when I was scheduled to meet with him, so.
Because I can
That was
just
that.
recall when, Mr. Heaton, your committee, we had members in front of us, and they said, he's the greatest thing. I mean, we really need him bad. He's going to help this town out tremendously.
Yeah.
So as long as, does the committee know that he pulled out? Has they had a meeting?
Oh, yeah.
Did they have a meeting?
We had a meeting last week.
You had a meeting after he pulled out?
And they're in favor of this? Okay. So I motion that we accept as been proposed by the committee.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Update on Department of Public Works by Town Administrator and Interim Director of Public Works, Michael Kittredge III.
Mr. Kittredge has a written report for you, Mr. Chairman. We've been busy.
Good evening. We kind of just kept running with what we had, so we continue with the roadside mowing, the intersections first, of course, and the line of visions. Catch basin repairs are ongoing. We're plugging away at those. We've got quite a backlog of them. Again, we're doing the most disrepair ones first, the ones that are dangerous, we're taking care of. We've had a few cleanups after the storms. We've had some washouts in the road, so we've had some challenges on trying to get the sweeper out there, and with the limited staffs, we've been kind of cutting it thin, so we've been trying to keep up with as much as we can. The potholes are continuing. I hate to say it, we're still using a little coal patch out there. We haven't been using the hot mix as much as we normally would, but we've been keeping up with the smaller stuff with the coal patch, and the bigger areas we've been doing the hot mix. They haven't done any large areas like we've done on Worcester Street yet, but I'm sure in the coming month we'll be doing some of those. We're on our third time of mowing Century Drive, the 140 dump, Ray Huntington Highway. We've had some issues with trash lately. It's kind of sporadic. We'll find mattresses and couches, and you know, people like to dump stuff where people can't see it, and we end up losing a good amount of time doing that stuff, but it's part of the thing, and they've been keeping up with it. We've had the new catch basin truck out there a little bit, not as much as it should be, but we've had a lot of other jobs we've had to do that are more priority than that right now. We'll be getting that out more this upcoming month. The Fuel Master system that we put up, the management system, we installed it, but before we installed it, we wanted to make sure that we had the tanks back to the correct standards. We've had a lot of cracks and the leaks, and so the tank monitors were going off on a regular basis, and they're about to hitch it up to our computers upstairs. So we took the approach that we better take the time to get in there and fill all the cracks, and we had to use a proper paint. The paint that we used last time was latex. That was a long time ago. They put latex paint on there, so we had to get all the latex paint off, and they had to prime it with epoxy, and then we had to use a urethane on the outside, and then we had to come back up to codes with all the signs. We had to put signs back up there so we're in codes as far as no smoking and the proper gallons and all the other stuff. That was a challenge to try to get that done before the people came in to do the pump conversion. But that's all done now. Everything's up and running, and knock on wood, so far no problems with it.
And you had, if I may, Mr. Chairman, you had 3 days down, or?
Yeah, it was about 3.5 days, basically.
You turned it around in 3 days.
Yeah, we had everybody fill up before the project to try to lessen what we had to spend on it. I think we spent about $400 and something on fuel in those days, because everybody else had topped off and filled up some cans and done some things so we didn't have to pay. So, I mean, that was pretty good. The parks, it's an ongoing mowing and hedge trimming and all the normal things we do this time of the year. A lot of trash. They did some of the things like prepping the fields and spiking and trying to get out some of the weeds and things like that out of the infields. They're maintaining Pride Park. I know within the last 2 weeks, they raked it out and done some of the things that they would normally do. We were able to dig all the test pits for the parks expansion project. We got out there with the engineers. They went out and did the soil samples and all that stuff to get it ready, and they're in the process of loaming and seeding all that stuff. They had a lot of test pits we had to actually dig in some odd places, so with a limited amount of people and all the work they have to do, they've been plugging away at the ones that are in the fields first, and then we'll kind of get into the ones that are up in the areas where no one goes. Yeah, keeping up with the mowing of the outskirts as best they can. I mean, they're doing a pretty good job out there in the town hall and the library there. Glenn Parker has been really taking an interest in the town hall, so that works out good for us. We've completed about 8 of the 20 parks repair items that were issued to me on the 23rd through Mr. Blake. We took care of the safety concerns first. Some of these other ones are going to take money, and I'm gonna go to the meeting on the 10th to see what money they want to spend and how they want to proceed with some of these other projects that are gonna be, you know, costly. So we'll see what happens on the 10th. The office, we've had quite a challenge there. It's been interesting, to say the least, at the end of the fiscal year to try to do all the encumbrances and invoices and the warrants and everything to get it done. Kerry's done a great job to try to get it done, and on top of it, she was in the middle of the fuel master systems because all the software was added to her computer and the other computers, and she had to encode all the keys and issue all the keys and give a quick training on how to use the system to the other departments, and like I said, issue physically all the keys to all the different departments and put in all the information that goes along with the keys. She did a great job, and Karen Prey helped us a lot, and Nancy helped us tons too, and Leslie was extremely helpful to, for the end of the year. I mean, we really had a lot to do in a little bit of time. It was quite a challenge in this transition. The final monthly fuel bills were issued, and again, those were the best we could figure out what the different departments, because that fuel system hasn't worked in months, so we kind of did the best we could on figuring out what everybody used. All the sewer quarterly bills were issued. We had a licensed drain layer issued, P&M Asphalt Services. We added them to the list. I've been in touch with Weston and Sampson. Tom and I have got together to look at the site up at Woodland that we had all the problems with the sewer break. I've got a couple of quotes in to do the work, but since then we've had an issue with an odor problem up there, and it's directly related to the biofilter that we have to do the work on, and it's overdue. We've got to get it done. We tried to fix it with some belts and some tweaking here and there, and it's just not working. So I'm going to have to put off the apron repair and the driver repair till after we do the biofilter. We're going to schedule that for next week to go up there and move all the stuff out of the way and just put it on we'll probably just go up there with a loader and grade it out a little bit so we can put all this equipment on a graded area, but after we do the biofilter, we'll go back and we'll get the people to do the apron and to do the asphalt work up there. And he's got a bunch of other items that we've gone over as far as volutes that we've learned about, and pumps and drives and all the other stuff that's got to be updated and upgraded. A lot of them are 5 weeks out though, so Tom's working on that. We've got the electrician coming in to try to get this started on this vent system that I don't know how long we've had the money for, but it's been a while. You approved the money for that stuff, so he came in the same day as they were going to start the pumps, and we kind of said, you got to come back. We got to get these pumps done first. So he's coming back. I talked with him. I expect that to get started in the next 2 weeks. We secured the bid for our fuels with Dennis Burke, so we can purchase fuel under the state bid, and other than that, it's been pretty quiet.
Thanks. Just update us, walk us through how the key system works. So every employee has a key assigned to them now?
Some departments issue to employees, some of them issue to vehicles. We put in our employee ID number, and we put the key in, we put our employee ID number, and then we can pump. Like the police department have their own keys. Vehicles have their own keys, so we have private people that use them in the wintertime. So it's right on the keychain with the vehicle. They take it out, they put it in. They're gonna have to get one of our numbers to go with them, whoever they're plowing with. You know, if we have a guy plowing with us, we'll put in our number, and then they can fuel it up. But it's a great record. It's finally, I mean, we can walk in the morning, see how much fuel we have, and it's a godsend.
Good.
Is that something that you check daily, Mike?
Yeah, every morning when I come in, I check to see
Okay.
what we have for fuel.
And then you order accordingly?
Yeah, and that's what was surprising. When we ordered today, we found out we didn't have a vendor, so we had to run through the works and find out who had the state bid, and
That was
ran out August 1st.
Other question is about any bills. I know any past due bills have been taken care of. Everything's trying to get up to date, or?
Knock on wood, yeah. I think we found most of them. I can't say I'm not going to find any more, but I mean, as far as we know, we've kind of got them all in there. It's been
Good.
Excellent.
Interesting.
Great work, thanks.
Thank you.
Well, just in regards to you doing the interim DPW job. How's the work that you used to do? How's that, are we backing up on that, or, I don't know if the town administrator.
Very timely question.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mike.
What we've done is we posted it in our shop for interim positions to fill those other positions. I've posted it long enough, so I've had people apply. I have,
So you posted for an interim form?
interim foreman, and then for whoever fills that interim position as an operator, it'll be an operator of some kind to fill that position. We haven't made the appointments as far as I know yet. I just brought them to Jim this morning, or this afternoon, actually.
This afternoon.
So that we can get started. And then I want to place an ad, which I've already given him, to do a seasonal parks employee, so we don't skip a beat. I want to get all this in line, so. We've had people apply, and the people that have applied definitely qualify, and the people for the operators have licenses already, so I don't have to go step backwards.
No, seems very good, thank you.
Anything else, Sean? Chris, anything else? Mike, thank you very much. Really appreciate the work you're doing.
Thanks, Mike.
All right, I'm sorry.
No, I guess maybe it'll be a future agenda item, no matter.
Okay.
Actually, we'll have a future agenda.
Well, interim town administrator's report.
Just one more thing, Mr. Chairman. The project funded for asbestos removal activities at the public safety complex. We're close to putting them out on the street. Nancy and Chief Welch and council have been working on the bid specs. There's one or two items outstanding, Nance. What are the? Okay. I think it's more form than substance on the bid proposals, but my expectation is it'll be out on the street, so to speak, before your next meeting. So we'll probably have to break that up into two parts, because you did get appropriations for window replacements as well. So asbestos abatement, for any friable stuff that's not around windows might be one activity, and you have to coordinate the window stuff with your window contractor. So we'd likely split the asbestos contract activities up into two pieces.
Okay. That's it?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
Nancy, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman.
Just to report that I met with the town administrative search committee last evening, and they are promising us that they will be delivering their finalists to the board the week of August 24th. They are interviewing nine candidates, and I scheduled those appointments for calls into everyone, so that's underway, and so that's going well. And on the FISP committee, we sent to the committee the information from Mike Daly on the debt borrowings and the election outlines, and the PowerPoint presentation that we used for Town Hall. I sent that to Ray Burkalt and to Mr. Crowley, and they are working on updating that for this
Thank you so much.
project. You're welcome.
All right. Selectmen's report. Ms. McCormick?
I don't have any reports, I just have an item.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm fine at this point.
I have something from, we had a conservation meeting Monday, and the Mass Department of Transportation is doing 3 projects in town on 140, actually through 12, from the railroad bridge to where Bob's hot truck used to be. They're gonna repave the road, put some drainage ponds in, and they're gonna put sidewalks in, which is great for the town and no cost to the town, which is amazing.
On Route 12?
Yeah, on Route 12.
Oh.
Wow.
So,
Nice.
and while they're doing that project, the town is gonna, the water department is gonna replace the mains in there. So all the water department will have to pay for is the piping itself. We won't have to pay for any asphalt, any work like that. So it's really a win-win for the town. They're also doing, on 140 from Boylston's line up to, the old entrance to Hartwell Street, the backside of Hartwell Street. We asked them to get rid of the S-curve there, but they said it was too much money. So they're gonna do drainage over there, replace the pipes also, and repave that. And on 140 by Thomas Street,
Down the hill.
down the hill.
And when they're down the bottom of the hill,
They're
yeah.
doing that area also. They're doing all this so they can get the water so it doesn't sheet rain onto the reservoir. They're trying to keep it away from the reservoir. This is a federally funded project, the Mass Department of Transportation is doing it. They're gonna fast track it, and they're gonna have it done. They wanna put out the bid in this fall and have it done by March. Next year.
Wow.
So it's really good for the town, especially the sidewalks.
Yeah, it's
Which is, we've been working on it. And another thing that came up, the MWRA, if anybody's on the reservoir, there's some, see something floating out there, those are test wells. They're gonna take those out of the water and put a permanent one in on land by where Bob's hot dogs truck used to be. And they're gonna make it into a replica of the old stone church. So it's gonna be pretty neat. And they're gonna work on that and hopefully have that done for spring also, so. Some good things for the town.
That was so New England, Mr. Chairman, where Bob's truck used to be.
Everybody knows.
If you got anything to do with town, you know where
And
it is.
they're gonna have a public hearing on these projects this Monday at the Town Hall at 6:30. So if anyone wants to attend, it's this Monday, Town Hall at 6:30. All right, also, meetings, invitations, and announcement. August 6, 2015, 7 o'clock, question and answer session for the building, from the building inspector on the 40B Village at Oakdale project, downstairs in meeting room 120. Anybody that has any concerns, any questions about that project should attend. Chris has decided to put this out so we can hopefully answer all the questions that people have. August 19, 2015, 7:05, joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Cemetery Trustees to fill a vacancy on the Cemetery Trustee. All right, and then future agenda items, Mr. McCormick.
Yeah, I guess maybe just a couple updates. Michael, you did a great job, don't take this personal now. We put money aside, we appropriated money this last spring to do a study for the DPW, how to restructure it or how to structure it, or maybe not restructure it and just leave it alone. I don't know. Have we done anything on that? That's number one question. So for the next meeting, if I could get an answer on
I
that.
can tell you now.
Oh, okay.
I had a live one on the line that got away on Friday. The person backed out, a person of, very learned, very, experienced person. Begged off, so I'll check with the other sources that Leon had identified for me, so I have to start over again. I thought I had it.
Yeah, okay. And I guess, what is this, what do I have? What is this so-called plan of attack for hiring a new, a permanent DPW director? We have to do something,
They're both very much related. The term I've been throwing around lately, ideal candidate profile.
Right.
I had this vision that the consultant could come in and in just a few weeks' time, use their knowledge to kind of audit the department itself, and then talk to the members of the Board of Selectmen about what kind of direction you wanted to see the department to go, and then you go out and do your recruiting accordingly. And that was the sequence of events that I had programmed for myself. And as I say, Friday was a setback, but we'll go back. We'll go back to that. The plan can be, moved up or moved back.
I realize we probably want the new guy, the new permanent town administrator.
Town administrator should be their prerogative.
But I guess our idea was with this study, I guess that's the right word, the study is to tell us whether how it's structured now is right, wrong, indifferent.
That certainly
things haven't always gone well with maybe the way it is now, but maybe that's our fault for not having the right people in the right place, or the right way, you know? But we need to know that, that's why we need a fresh set of eyes that just go, well, this is the way I think you should structure it. You know, we might need to hire this guy and put this guy in this truck, and that's all he does is that, and he doesn't get involved with, you know, other
I thought the
things.
consultant
However they
idea
do
was
it.
terrific. It,
Yeah.
I refer to them, it's the second time I've used this term today. They have a qualified, dispassionate third party come in and
Yeah, that's what we need.
take a
Yeah.
look and then talk to you is very much in order.
Yeah, that's all because, yeah, I guess we need to have a process somewhere, get started with that. Only for, I don't know how long it takes to advertise, but we're gonna put it like in the Beacon and stuff, and I know even for the town administrator, that took quite a while.
I had programmed for tonight to introduce, you know, a recommended consultant to you. Yeah.
Okay.
You're talking about the permanent.
For the permanent guy,
Yeah,
yeah,
but-
but like, start, like, you know, we're gonna have permanent, as an example, we're gonna have our permanent candidates. We're gonna be presented in August, right, for the town administrator? Then we interview them and do our thing. Then we, say we make a selection right after, in September, so I don't know, early September, whatever. Do we start the process then, or do we start an advertisement now? Because then we would get it in the Beacon a couple times. Because last time when we did for the town administrator, remember?
Right.
It took like
Got
2
delayed.
months, like a month, and another month, because we couldn't get it in time. We didn't decide. Leon didn't tell us in time, or I don't remember what the hell happened.
He's not here, let's smack him around.
But I'm just saying. If you leave. I just say that if we need to do that, and we want to advertise it for a couple months, we should start advertising now. I don't know when the next Beacon comes out, we just got one, so there's gotta be like another month before we even get another one.
Mr. McCormick, can I just, again, this is a future, but I have no problem, since we can't talk about, don't we feel we need the consultants to tell us what he thinks before we post?
Well, we gotta post for a permanent person anyway.
Right, but he may say, you don't need an engineer, you do need an engineer. You may need somebody with this qualifications, you may not need somebody. I thought that's what we were asking.
Well, no, even that's fine, I just
I
wanna
agree.
know that we're gonna,
I think that's what our hope was to get from this consultant, so I don't
okay,
know.
so then we need to get going on the consultant.
We thought we had a time so that you hire your new administrator. You know, the new administrator and the board gets handed a consulting report.
Yeah.
And you say, okay, administrator, here's what this policy-making body is interested in doing. Go get it.
We could still be on that track now.
Yeah, go get it done.
Okay, that's fine. Then I don't have anything for next meeting. Well, I still do, I guess I'm still the study guy, we gotta still
Right,
get that
because-
going. Otherwise you can't do anything.
I have nothing, okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.